What we have today is we have our usual schedule where the Humor and Inspiration Master, 2 speakers, and some evaluators. The grammarian today is John Potter, timer Kaylee Vandenberg. Humor and Inspiration will be provided by Jenny Allen. And speaker 1 is Stacy Johnson. And speaker 2, Brian Washburn, who is not in the house yet. Topic master is Courtney Clackridge. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
But our general evaluator is Kaiwa Liu. And evaluator number 1 for Stacy is Derek Packley. And evaluator number 2 is Christopher Libby. All right, with that, I would like to introduce the grammarian to talk about his role. John, please come up.
Thank you, Toastmaster, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters. I'm the grammarian today, and move away. One of my jobs is to come up with a word of the day. My wife came up with ubiquitous. And it's like, okay, how am I going to spell that? So I had to look it up. It's the definition is existing or being everywhere at the same time. The company's advertisements were ubiquitous. Okay, another job is for me to watch colorful language, and hopefully the connectors and the oohs, ahs won't be ubiquitous today. I will be looking for them. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up Kaylee as the timer to talk about timing.
I will be your timer today. As each of the different parts of our meeting progresses, we will be doing different timing accordingly. So for speeches, when there's 2 minutes left in the speech, you will see me hold up the green card, and then the green light in the back will also go on when you have 2 minutes left. When you have 1 minute left in your speech, you will see the yellow card and the yellow light. And when your time has expired, you will see the red card and the red light. And if you go too long past your time, I will buzz you. For table topic speakers, we looked for 1 to 2 minutes for those table topics. And so when you've reached 1 minute, you will see the green. When you've reached 1 minute 30 seconds, yellow. And when you've reached 2 minutes, the end of your time, you will see the red. And then for evaluators, we ask that they speak for 2 to 3 minutes. So when you've reached 2 minutes, you'll see the green. 2 minutes 30 seconds, you will see the yellow. And then when you get to 3 minutes, you will see the red. And at the end of the meeting today, I will give a timing report.
Thank you, Kaylee. I don't know if anyone caught the Paris Climate Summit and President Obama's remarks there, but hopefully our speakers today listened to the timer better than he did. They dinged him, more than 10 times. Anyway, our next event, Jenny, I'd like to invite you up to please give our humor and inspiration speech.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and any guests that we have. You might be familiar with Jeff Foxworthy. Jeff Foxworthy is the largest selling comedy recording artist. He's a multiple Grammy Award-winning nominee and a best-selling author of more than 26 books. His claim to fame is that he's given rednecks more jokes than they know what to do with. At one time, he seemed ubiquitous. He was on every comedy show that he turned on TV. For example, this was his daily joke earlier this week. If you consider turkey calling a second language, you might be a redneck. In true Jeff Foxworthy fashion, as your humor master today, I thought it might be fun to honor Toastmasters, our members, by sharing ways that you know you might be a Toastmaster. So if you pick your political candidates by the absence of filler words, you might be a Toastmaster. If you mentally time and expect all of the discussions in your life to be 5 to 7 minutes, you might be a Toastmaster. If you write an evaluation of the sermon and hand it to the pastor as you're leaving church on Sunday, you might be a Toastmaster. If you use vocal variation while you talk in your sleep, you might be a Toastmaster. If you hold up distinguished Toastmasters as role models for your children, you might be a Toastmaster. If your spouse tells you to take out the trash and you can talk for exactly 1 to 2 minutes giving excuses of why you can't do that, you might be a Toastmaster. If you go to a potluck dinner and give everyone a written evaluation of their dishes, you might be a Toastmaster. And finally, if you laughed at all of these foregoing jokes, silly jokes, you might be a Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Now I'd like to introduce briefly Stacy Johnson, who will be our first speaker today. Her anagram of shy cans jot no is made me think of the underused vegetables in the back of your pantry and how they hide back there and they don't want to be seen, and maybe that's why they last for so long. She will be giving us a speech titled Something You Don't See Every Day, which is the visual aid presentation from the company. And she has asked for 5 to 7 minutes.
I lead a fairly predictable life. It's fulfilling, but it's not exciting. When I call my mom or I talk to my friends and they say, "What's new?" I usually have to think for a few minutes, and then I can dredge something up like, Eric lost a tooth, or Clarence is an antelope in the school play. But context is key. It turns out that a combination of elements that you see in your everyday life, every day of your life, in an unusual context, can create an unusual and remarkable event you can share with your friends and your mother. Last week, I was rushing to one of my innumerable meetings. I was going to be late. I turned the corner between Stevens and Kaler to go through the Skyway, and I stopped dead. This was something you don't see every day. I knew I was going to be late, but it didn't matter, because I had to see how this was going to end. First of all, there was a man with a sheet, and he was walking slowly forward. Behind him, there were 2 women, one on each side, and one of the women was holding a box. I had to see where this was going, so I followed them across the Skyway. We went down the stairs. They turned left down a long hallway of doors. The woman put her box down, and I could sense that we were probably collecting some gawkers behind us. We walked down the long hallway, turned a corner, and to my dark delight, we caused a susurrus. There were 2 Mayo employees who had been coming up a stairway, and when they saw us, they, like me, stopped dead. And I imagine as they were coming up the stairs, they were talking about what animals their children played in the school play, and then they saw us in this unusual cavalcade. And the man with the sheet walked forward, shaking his sheet. The 2 male employees stayed at the top of the stairs, blocking the way. One of the women peeled off from behind the man and ran around the side of the Kaler. There's a big atrium. She ran around the side of it and opened a window. I took her place, because I was a part of this now. She opened the window, and the man shook his sheet a couple more times, and suddenly, something you don't see every day became something you see every day. The pigeon had gone from inside the Kaler outside. As you can see here, the pigeon is quite unconcernedly walking down the hallway. There's the man with the sheet. There he is. He's very calm and relaxed and happy. The pigeon didn't seem to know why this was such a big deal. And if you can see at the very top of that picture, there's the two male employees, and one of them is like. And then here's the pigeon at the window. Again, very unconcerned. It was not a big deal. Now I see pigeons every day. I see this pigeon every day for sure. I see windows every day. I see sheets every day, boxes, men and women. But to just change one of those elements in its context can turn some things that you see every day, into something you don't see every day.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Aristotle once said that happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. As we're still eating our Thanksgiving leftovers and moving into the Christmas holiday, I would like us to stop and think, what really makes us happy? Is it Black Friday shopping? Judging by all of the injuries and fights I read in the news, I would say not. At any rate, I would like to answer that question of happiness by explaining what's called the golden triangle of happiness. In researching this topic, I found that there are three key components or indicators that lead to a happy life. The first is financial control. The second is a sense of purpose. And the third is a supportive relationship. So starting with the first, financial control. This might seem an obvious topic, but I think it's worth noting. There was a study done by a gerontologist named Carl Palmer, and he wrote this book called 30 Lessons for Living. And in this book, he interviewed over 1,000 elderly individuals. And there were some interesting points that came from this study, or rather that didn't come from this study. The first is that no one said that you should work as hard as you can to make as much money as you can to buy all the things you want. The second thing is that no one said that you should have as much stuff as everyone else. And if you have more than they do, that constitutes real success. And the third thing is that no one said that you should pick your desired career or job based upon your desired future earning potential. As you can tell from these comments, these elderly individuals were not really influenced that much by money, at least at the time that they were interviewed. However, happiness can be influenced by income. The lack of it, indeed the lack of it, can make us miserable. And there was a famous study done that found that happiness can be influenced by money up to a certain point, around $75,000. This study also pointed out that there are two types of happiness. There's your day-to-day mood, whether you're down in the dumps, whether you're in a stable emotionally, or if you're feeling good about life. Then there's the deeper satisfaction we have about how our lives are going. The satisfaction that myriad of motivational speakers try to pontificate. Consequently, living within our means is an important aspect to reducing undue stress. The second corner of the golden triangle is a sense of purpose. The famous psychologist Daniel Kahneman has suggested that there are 2 points that relate to this topic that have a big impact on making people happy. The first is control over what we do, meaning that we have to have some autonomy over our daily task or output in some way. The second is progress in what you're pursuing. You have to have some sort of achievement or feeling of achievement in whatever task you pursue and avoid that pesky burnout feeling. volunteers are amongst the happiest individuals because of their purpose-driven roles and the fact that they get that feeling of accomplishment intrinsically. There was an interesting article the other day in Inc. magazine that pointed out that environmental service employees are amongst the most content employees in the hospital because of their purpose-driven mentality. And the third and most critical portion of the Golden Triangle is that of an intimate relationship. Now, when I say intimate, I don't mean romantic relationship, but rather a close-knit and supportive relationship. And these relationships are important because they allow us to have someone with whom we can share our hopes, our dreams, our fears, and regrets. Someone with whom we can explain our deepest feelings and will hopefully remind us how valued we really are. Researchers have also found that being in a close-knit community or having those close social ties reduces the risk of mental illness and health-related illnesses and stress-related illnesses, and also enables us to recover faster from traumas and other illnesses. Family and friends and other close relationships provide the support that you need in order to adopt healthy behaviors, like exercising in moderation. To conclude, there are a plethora of ways that we can be happy and that we can think of being happy, whether temporarily or longer term. However, I found in my research that there are 3 basic components that I think we should all think about. First is financial control, the second is a sense of purpose, and the third is a supportive relationship. And with that, I would like to wish you all a wonderful and happy holiday season.